because I don't want people to think it's a React channel, but like there'll be stuff on there, right? Like whether it's like TikTok or whether it's like you know, I for example, I watched a video like last week or actually like 2 weeks ago during drops, when I was doing my super long streams, where someone made this video basically like why Warhammer is such a good game and is like basically criminally underrated by the games industry, and is like a wake-up call because of how good their devs are to their community and all this other stuff. And it is actually insane. Like I've never seen a community love their game more. Like there's like anytime they've made any bad decisions or like bad like monetization policies or anything like that, like they fix it like within like 2 weeks. They instantly walk it back or they instantly change it, and they're like, okay, like, you know, like we'll do it this way. And it was really cool. Yeah, I know, right? I was like, wow, this is all really, really cool. Like, you know, that's awesome that they do that. Like, I wish more games did that. And throughout the day, so yesterday and today, I've had so many people that are coming in and asking me like, dude, you should play it. You should try it. You should play it. And it's kind of picked up speed kind of quickly. And that's kind of like my ideal for it is I watched this video from 3 or 4 months ago, which was from a passionate Warhammer or a creator in the Warhammer space, and was like, basically, this game is really, really good and isn't getting enough love. And I watch it on stream, basically on a whim, just like, you know, in queue playing drops at 20 hours, losing my mind. And then people are like, I want to see you play this game, and then I play it, and it kind of like feeds into the cycle of like, you know, people want to see it, I do it, I had fun, they enjoyed it, it's something I can look forward to, and it's like, I don't have to just get on and play Overwatch every day, which, granted, I'm not saying I don't enjoy playing Overwatch. I actually had a lot of fun the last couple weeks playing, but like, you know, the new recent Orisa meta, I'm all of a sudden not having as much fun again. It's like, you know,
oh my god, yeah.
It's like, I want to have times where I can do other stuff more and have people look forward to those things and not just be like, oh, I'm just gonna pull out a catalog of games and throw a dart at it, and whatever I pick, and we'll hope it's good.
Oh, dude, that sounds awesome, because you're injecting a ton of intentionality by the way that you approach games, and like really riding a train of excitement and just like a love of gaming in general, right? Like, that's the idea behind it. I like that.
And so like I know that like I also want to do like what like Moist Critical does with like his stuff is, so when like a new game drops and he like plays the new game, like dropping just like the first hour of gameplay. So instead of like having to do like, you know, a full edited video that takes weeks to go out, right? Because my Elden Ring movie, which was a masterpiece, like the amount of editing and care that went into that, it was a Cuber classic, that went into that was unbelievable. And everyone first loved it or watched it as like, this is the greatest video I've ever witnessed. Like, this is like,
oh my god, let's go.
You need to do more of these. But,
and I'm sure that's really satisfying to hear, but like, you know what it took to get there, and it's so much, right?
And the problem though is, like, Elden Ring was topical for like a couple months, and I played it when it was topical, but it took like 2 months to edit because it was 100 hours plus of footage, and the video is 11 hours and 56 minutes long. So like, it is a literal, it is a movie, and it's fully edited. Like, it's completely fully edited.
That's a Lord of the Rings trilogy right there, hello?
Yeah, but it's amazing that people loved it. They're like, this is like the most ideal thing. Like, I put it on when I go to bed every night, and I would just crush a good section of it. And I want to do more stuff like that, but I also need to, like, you know, kind of keep up with like when things are topical, or like, you know, for example, right now,
dude,
I think. What's that?
You don't wanna be racing the clock in that situation, and it takes so much to make a video like that.
Yeah, and I would have both. I want like people to be able to enjoy like stuff I'm currently playing it, or if they like, if let's say I release that in version, right, or like a first hour of gameplay, people are like, when are you gonna play it again? It's like, oh, actually, I'm playing it right now, and then I can keep playing it at that time, and they're in the hype cycle, and then later on, the full version can come out maybe after the hype cycle has kind of died down, and it's not like as exciting, and I'm playing something else, but people that may have missed it still get the really awesome, like, well-edited version, and people maybe that saw the other version live are like, I wonder what the video edit version looks like, and then they go back and watch that. So it's just like, it just gives me a lot of more options without feeling like if I don't play Overwatch today, or if I don't upload an Overwatch video, like people get upset or like get mad at it, and like also just automatically jump to the conclusion like, oh, you didn't do this, you must be quitting. And it's like,
oh my god, yeah.
It's like, why do I gotta be in this box? I'm tired of being stuck in a box. Which, I know that, I just threw a lot at you, but yeah. Yeah, it's just...
No. I love hearing about this sort of stuff. It's really, really interesting to me how various creators are like, I don't know, battling with burnout or just feeling that sense of... I don't know if this word resonates with you, but like it's a sense of ennui. It's like complete and utter annoyance at the fact that every day looks the same and it's just a cycle. You know, it's a cycle. It's like falling disenchanted. What just happened there?
Got my one.
You roll into her.
Yep. Flat hinder roll.
Let's go.
No, I didn't mean to derail you there. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. It's like that sense of, oh yeah, well it's just gonna be a cycle again, right? You fall disenchanted with Overwatch, and then you try to find some joy in like what you do, because that's part of it, right? That's part of the show. It's like actually having a good time and getting to challenge yourself and getting to play like a really cool fucking game. And sometimes that's Overwatch, right? But sometimes Overwatch is Orisa meta. So it's like, what are you gonna do? And it sucks that every time you deviate from that, you're punished for it. Like, you're punished for trying to do your best in a system that demands you do the same thing until the day die. And there's just no way to live, man.
I don't even mind if like it doesn't even do as well like view number wise or financially wise. It's just like I don't want it to be like looked down upon as lesser than my other stuff, even if it's not. Like it's not even at all. It's like your only way to measure it is just off of like, you know, a number that's put next to it. And it's like, yeah, some parts of that make a lot of sense because like, you know, being realistic, like, you know, people want their content to do well or people to watch it and enjoy it. But at the same time, though, you know, every time you put something else that's not it out, if they just look at it as like, well, why don't you just upload more Overwatch stuff? And it's like, well, I don't want to. Like, I'm already doing so much other stuff. Like, I want to try something different. But that almost becomes like a sin.
No, seriously, you get vilified for it either way. You get vilified for like not enjoying Overwatch. You get vilified for not doing Overwatch, and it's like, oh, okay, well, fuck.
Heroes never die.
And it's like, it's one thing to pick a hill to die on. It's one thing to like willingly dig yourself a grave and crawl in. It's another thing to be like, oh, like this is where I'm stuck. This is where I have to be buried. This is where I just have to lay down and start like decomposing. And
yep.
Yeah.
No.
The thing I've been struggling with recently is like, I think I might be trying to not necessarily step away from games, but I need to like reevaluate what I'm doing because I want people to watch for me, and that's always really, really hard to grow an audience on, right? And so trying to figure out how to do that and how to play various games with like, again, like you're aiming to, with intentionality, right? Like a clear directive of, oh yeah, like let's do a, I don't know, like a Queer Eye inspired show where people are given makeovers of their like fashion and their home and their like lifestyles, and do it all in The Sims, right? Like that could be fun. The problem is,
there's so much happening
how
right
the
now.
fuck do you market? Because like my whole thing with Overwatch right now, I'm just yap maxing every day, and it's like the game is just the backdrop for recovery.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I know exactly what you mean.
And like I know you do this a lot too, right? Where you're literally just fucking around in the practice range and you let the power of Yap shine.
Yep. Exactly. It's literally become a staple. Like, and it's not even just my stream. It's like other streams. Like anytime someone's in the training range now, it's immediately boom. Like, oh, we're like this is Sweat's a spot. What are you doing here? Pots gets vilified for liking Overwatch sometimes. Yeah, that does happen too. I mean, that's kind of one of those like you can't ever win type of situations though. What we're talking about more or less though is just like being able to do other stuff without too many consequences. If that makes sense.
So right now I'm drowning myself in variety, and it's I'm trying to get my personal training license, and then maybe thinking about going back to school for like exercise science and maybe like sports science. I just said the same thing, but either doing that sort of stuff or even, I don't know, man, like a lifestyle YouTube where I just talk about anything and everything. That could be fun.
Mm-hmm. That's what Timmy went through as well. You talking about Tim, like Tatman Tim, or like it's Timmy's?
It's just tricky, man, because it feels like so much of making content is like you have to decide to do this one thing and then just stick with it.
Yep.
And I find it so impossibly hard to like pick one thing that encapsulates everything I want to do and be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like one of those ones where it's like you kind of have to almost like transcend your niche, you know? Like there's some people I think who've done it, like variety like type streamers, but they kind of were like, how do I say this? Like not even trying to like, I'm not even trying to like write off anyone's success, but you can tell, like, sometimes if you ever listen to like really big streamers or like people who like, you know, really blew up, talk about like content and talk about like doing stuff, sometimes they kind of, I'm not trying to say get lucky, but like it doesn't seem like they've ever got stuck, you know?
Yeah, like what is their mechanism for like fighting that stuckiness you're talking about, right?
Yeah, like, I mean, I'll use an Overwatch example. So way back when XQC like blew up and went crazy, right? Like he wasn't actually like the 20k viewer streamer for a while. He was more like a 8 to 10k Overwatch player. But what happened was there was TwitchCon, and he hung out with a bunch of like other big streamers at TwitchCon, did like crazy things on their streams, and then people were like, oh my god, this guy's hilarious, he does like insane things, and then basically went crazy with like YouTube clips and whatnot, and like watching lots of stuff in queue.
I think he was also paying Fresh Nuts to feature his stuff.
Was he paying Fresh Nuts to feature stuff too? I don't remember.
I don't know. So. Like that was a big part of the YouTube clip success.
I could ask him why Fresh Nuts works for me.
Oh shit,
I wonder if he would tell me. But yeah, actually, it's just like he kind of like capitalized on it really, really quick, and so like he grew really fast in Overwatch. But it wasn't like he was streaming and doing like tons of Overwatch stuff for a very, very, very long time. Like it was like very small league streamer, very small. Yeah, he was like a small league streamer for a long time, or a good amount of time. Then came to Overwatch, and then like a little bit of success, and then kind of blew up quick with like prior to Overwatch League, then Overwatch League, and then like was already gaining a lot of traction, and then there was like that one TwitchCon, and then everything went quick. But then if you see like I saw a couple of like Kai talking about content one time where he's like, you can't do the same thing too much because like you spoil your chat and like they get used to it, and like it's so you can't like, I don't know if this word is like depend on it, but it's more like so you don't get stuck in something. But I mean, I could be wrong on this. I don't think Kai was ever stuck on anything though. Like he wasn't like streaming like one thing or one game or like whatever thing for like a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, that probably doesn't apply to me as much anymore either. And then I've seen clips of like saying like Queso and Jinxie, who are like some more newer streamers who have blown up recently, in the last few year or so talk about it, and a lot of their stuff is, well, they go up from TikTok, but their main thing is to make sure that their stream always matches their clips, and so whenever like TikTok clips go viral or anything like that, they always try to keep the same energy at all times during stream. So they do much shorter streams. They only stream for like 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. And if they go longer than that, like, you know, you get tired.
Those 16-hour streams for drops.
You kind of lose your steam a little bit. And so it's like that also makes sense for them. But if I'm a gaming streamer and I'm streaming for long hours, it's almost like it's more advantageous to stream less time then with that mindset and like stream more for high quality, less long. And there are people that do that, but I also enjoy streaming and I don't want to stream less. But it also kind of makes sense to stream less, but it financially doesn't make sense for me because, especially like with drop cycles, it is extremely advantageous to stream super long hours. So,
you know, like Markiplier or any of like the super big YouTubers, they have this key tenet to their content in that it's like the episodes that do exist are very, very precious, and they're seen as such because sometimes you get like full playthroughs, but oftentimes you get like a game that everybody loves seeing this person play, but you only have like a couple episodes of it, and so everyone's begging like, oh my god, please give us more, please play more of this game, and it's like, it's seen as inherently super, super precious. And maybe that's something that we have a hard time tapping into on stream. Because how can you, right?
Yeah, how can you?
I want to pick your brain about the drop stuff. Because I feel like we're a little bit doomed. And maybe this is the doomerism speaking.
You know,
but I
want to hear this.
Oh, you want to hear this? Okay, so I feel like in a way, drop cycles in Overwatch have both helped and hindered the category a lot, because I think that it shapes the category into being it turns it inherently transactional, and it makes it so that content is much more seen like broadly, not by regulars of the stream, but like by people who tune in occasionally. It makes the category seem extremely like low quality, right? And it's like more time is being spent streaming it, but then you are either getting pelted by ads or it's just less engagement overall. And even though there's incentive there to watch these streams and to participate when there's something on the line for you, when that incentive is taken away, you see this category drop to numbers that it's never seen before. And fuck, man, I'm a little scared because when we don't have drops going on, like, oh my god, I'm like, oh fuck, I'm washed.
Me too. I actually talked to Emong about this semi recently. We were actually, because I actually, okay, I mean, I had no plans to talk about this, but we actually talked about it in September, because I even said to him, I was like, bro, am I washed? Like, am I? I was like, am I washed? Am I cooked? Like, what happened? He's like, oh, it's September. It's always slow. Yeah, he's like, it's slow in September. He's like, I've been streaming for many, many years. Like, that's normal. That's why September originally existed. I was like, what? And then I got a whole lesson on like the whole reason Twitch even did September originally was because it's super, super slow, and we were trying to help streamers like a long, long time ago. Remember when it used to be like actually insanely good, you know, like back in the day?
Yeah, I remember.
That was the whole point.
Would, like, get half off or something crazy like that.
Yep, it was supposed to be an incentive to try to like boost that month up, because like it's always across the board apparently in all tech super, super slow. So that made me feel quite a bit better, you know? That made me feel a whole lot better.
That's reassuring to know, yeah.
What's so bad about having 2K viewers? Do you see the drops enabled thing next to it, or nah? Thanks, Void. Appreciate it. 3 months. Before I say anything about like what you said, do you have more about that specific part, or?
I feel like there's also a little bit of this that we see when people do those like really fucking big subathons where it's like, oh yeah, you add a minute whenever you sub or whatever. And it's one of those things where there is a lot of dry content, and the quantity is so high that the quality cannot possibly be high, because all of the preparatory hours, all of the time that you would spend ideating and setting up bits
I don't know what it is,
and just like new intriguing things, instead is just like words on stream and streamers fucking sleeping. And I feel like in the same way, it conditions people, right? It conditions a chat to expect a certain kind of thing, and I don't know, I feel like it kills channels a little bit, at least for a bit of time.
So wait, you think the subathons kill channels a little bit?
Or at least financially for a bit. I think subathons are really good for like money right now, and for
oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah, but you kind of fatigue out your community right after that.
Mm-hmm. No, I 100% know. I know what you're talking about. I think it also depends on the size of the streamer. Like, I think if you're like, let's say like, I don't know, let's say like the recent Iron Mouse, like super subathon. Like, eventually, whenever that ends, I don't think she'll experience fatigue because like it's been like a giant success and like went giga viral, and honestly probably way more people know about her existence today than at the start of the subathon because she broke the record, and there was like tons of people that were like kind of hating on her, like, oh, who is this random PNG, blah blah blah. Right, that actually did a lot of good though, right? Because like people were like, now like, who is it? Yeah, she is. So it did a lot of good for her. But like, let's say you're like a, you know, say sub 1,000 streamer doing a subathon. You know, you're probably not growing all that quickly, and yeah, that you probably could. It is kind of like short-term versus long-term, because like there are going to be people who like want to see that subathon go long, and you know, just like kind of want to push their streamer a little bit and have a good time with it. But at the same time, you're not like, if it was always new people coming in and almost like refreshing. You know, like that chat is like refreshing and new people are coming in and it's constantly laying over and like rolling over. I don't think it would be bad, but I think, yeah, especially if you're a smaller creator, you can definitely do that. I don't know if I would say kill it though. I think it ends up becoming like a vicious cycle where people will wait. So I'll give you a good example. Something I noticed was I told my chat and my community, and like this is nothing against them, like this, I wanted them to do this. Like I actually, like, this was by design. Like I was totally fine with this, so I hope they know that I'm not trying to say it was a bad thing. But basically, leading up to the gifted subs event at the end of the month, my sub count like went through the floor. Like it dropped like three-ish thousand because my chat knew that I was gonna be doing another Pokemon subathon or a Pokemon event where basically I do like a Pokemon Nuzlocke. Oh god, where did they just go? I just lost them. I do a Pokemon Nuzlocke and I let people fuck with it for gifted subs. Like you can buy a name for 5 gifted, or you can like kill a Pokemon off for 50 gifted, or make me start completely over for 100 gifted, right? Like, it can be ruthless. To give you an example, it took me 46 attempts over the lifetime of trying to do this one Sun and Moon run. That was my 46th attempt. I finally did it, and it was because multiple people in chat that like are typically the people who fucked with me were like, okay, it's time you finally finish this. Like we're gonna make sure you get to the end.
That's so funny.
Yeah, but like everyone was saving up for that time, which is totally fine. Like that's what I wanted. Like I wanted everybody to have a good time with, like, that's the whole point of me doing those. But if you were constantly doing subathons, you know, I could see where it's, you know, it's more.
It's got to be used strategically, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like it makes sense as the viewer to not actually give subs or whatever and hold it for waiting for the next subathon and then just go really hard with that.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense.
But I don't want to go too far away from that. I want to. You said that it's kind of like a cycle about the whole drops thing and how it can kind of like kill it a little bit. I actually kind of agree with you. But I also think it's partly Overwatch is just not a great viewing experience game these days.
Yeah, no, I also agree with that.
It's just like people have been playing this game for years, and most people who watch Twitch streams are just the people who are super committed and like enjoy the game, but at the same time,
yeah, so committed to the game, like married 10 years to the game.
Yeah, and they also just, it's the same people, you know, like,
it really is, yeah.
There's very rarely like brand new people that are coming in and like watching Overwatch all the time. They just come in during like drops or whatever else. But I would say like new people since Overwatch 2 dropped coming in and like becoming full-timers is definitely a lot less. And that's not even their fault, because partly it could be from the drops. It also could be, as creators, I don't think anyone's doing anything super unique or interesting these days.
It's hard to with Overwatch.
Yeah, it is hard to. I do take, okay. I mean, I take responsibility with my own stuff, right? Like, like, No Ego created a whole sub-franchise in Overwatch with with my spectating series back in 2021. And it went, like, to the moon. And I didn't like doing it all the time.
Kill yourself with a helix?
Yeah. Well, actually, yeah, I got the reflect kill and got myself, so I got 2. It was great.
Let's go!
I didn't like doing it all the time though, because like people were so obsessive about it, and it drove me nuts. But wait, what? Oh, I didn't realize we were about to lose. It was like one of the last times content was revolutionized in Overwatch. And the most recent time I can think of is Jay's series with like, where he does like 1 versus 10, where he like brought in other creators, or like, Emong did a little randomizer thing where they would just like shoot content every night or every morning, where they would just either bring people in, bring another streamer, and try to like, you know, one streamer who like a really good Doomfist player versus 10 bronze players. Like what kind of stats do you have to give the GM player to beat 10 bronze players, like 10v1, right? That kind of content is pretty good, and like it really banged for a while. But now it's like, what is there? Who's the creative minds in Overwatch these days, like making interesting, new, never before done content? And I feel like we've kind of done it all. There isn't anything to do other than wait for new seasons and new cycles of the game, and we either talk about balance and we talk about patch notes, or we play the new heroes that came out, or whatever new game mode came out, and we're talk about skins, and that's it. That's all there is now. Like, we've creatively drawn as much out of it as we can.
I think so too. Like, short of literally writing, oh my god, I had this series that I was gonna produce.
Custom
for
modes,
Overwatch,
workshop's basically dead.
It's so incredibly high investment. It was gonna be like a roasting of this hero and also of the people who play this hero, and it would be like a completely scripted comedy routine, and it would be like animated with animatics, and it was gonna be something I was gonna make with the Toronto Defiant, but well.
Uh-oh. Yeah, no shit.
Yeah. Oops.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Damn, that's sad. I think that sounds super fun.
Yeah. I was gonna go through all the tanks first, and it was cathartic to write, actually.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, the other day I was looking at stuff and I got recommended my own YouTube video, and it was like my red flag, green flag tier list of players, like based on your main in Overwatch, and it had like randomly like 700,000 views, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, I barely even remember doing the video. It was such on a whim, like, screw it, like, we'll see what happens type content. But now thinking back, it's like, that was so different. Like not many creators were doing, or any big creators were doing anything like that, because it's so goofy. It's not like serious, and it can capture the widest audience. Because like, you know, a lot of casual players probably don't give a fuck about balance, right? They don't give a fuck about those types of things. Like, they care more about the memes or the funny stuff. And that was like a memey, funny moment that also was connecting with like a, you know, bigger creator that maybe they didn't really have things before that they could relate to on. You know? Time sensor locked to an evergreen, so oh yeah, true. Yeah, Crap made a good point. It's also not time sensitive, so it's like not locked into a single season.
Oh my god, yeah.
Because there's a lot of stuff that's time sensitive in Overwatch. Like, that's like half my brand. What do you say?
I really respect the fact that, you know, those news channels or like people who do oh, like what's happening in season 14 of Overwatch. Like something that you really have to be good at is fighting the clock, and you have to be so like on time and topical with everything that you do. And
Yep.
God,
So that's what I do.
being the winner is hard. Yeah.
Actually, it's funny, me and Karku are like two sides of the same coin these days, because he does well-edited versions of like patch notes and stuff where he does like side-by-sides and like shows like the changes from the previous season to this season. Meanwhile, mine is speed, because it takes him a while, because he has to like, you know, when the new season comes out, spend time recording it, get everything done, then get it edited, and then get it uploaded. All I have to do is read it out loud when it comes out, and then edit, upload. And like, it's not even an edit, it's like a copy paste. It's like clip it and ship it is like what we call it.
Yeah.
So we actually have two sides where I cover stuff, and my stuff typically does really, really well until his goes out, and then his does better. But the thing is I am so fast with it, because like my team is like really, really good at speed with this. We've just been doing it for years. I had the conversation with multiple other creators where a lot of other creators don't even really do it anymore because they don't want to compete with me. Because I've already got that market isolate. Oh God, I'm dead. I lived. It's like, oh God.
It's okay, I'm here.
Thanks. Ow. I still died. And then there's react and there's reactions. True. But yeah, like actually, you know, it's funny you say that. That's actually why I'm trying a little bit of the new channel stuff, is because like we've been so good about being speedy with stuff being topical. Like it's one of our greatest strengths. And being able to take it to the next level.
One of the reasons behind your success too.
Yeah. But it's easy in Overwatch, because it's like stuff I've known for years. Like I can fucking tell you how a patch is gonna go basically with my eyes closed these days. like some
like,
things can be slightly off. Yeah, like some things can be slightly off a little bit. Like, you know, like, oh, I think this is gonna be really, really like bad, and it's like, oh, it ended up being bad, but it wasn't like world ending, right? Or the opposite, like, oh, this is gonna be really good. It's like, it was good, but it's like, it wasn't as great as I thought it was gonna be. But stuff that I've never experienced or done before, like, oh man, that's a lot harder to predict, or, you know, because I don't want to like make misinformation or anything like that.
You can never tell a lie on the internet.
Spreading misinformation on the internet for fun? I would never. Yeah, Inferno thing the Prime, by the way, earlier. I think I missed that. I apologize.
The thing with me is like, I am a roller coaster of interests and hobbies, and I can't stick with one thing for any like extended amount of time. So even at like the peak of loving Overwatch, I have like 10 other things I want to balance that with. And so when it comes to like the speed of being able to put out content, or like, I guess even I'm sorry, I can't go anywhere.
You're fine, you're fine.
I feel like I can't even I don't know, man. It's tricky. I can't fake interest at something.
No, I get that.
And my interest is always so fickle.
It can be hard. It can actually be really, really hard.
For sure, yeah.
And especially because, like, you know, people can sense that too. If you're not super interested in something, it's like, oh, okay, like, you know, kind of phoning in a little bit. But at the same time, though, that's why like doing one thing or like around one genre sometimes helps, is because like everyone there is all interested in the exact same thing. So even if like it's not your best day, that's okay, because like you're still having a big common topic. And so like even if today is not your best day, you've had really good days in the past, and you can kind of like let it slide on one day. Oh, I'm dead.
No.
You know, I probably could have lived that if I hugged the wall instead.
Like when I really think about my strengths and what I can do that others can't, it's like that enthusiasm for learning, right? Because I don't know, I feel like I do so much, and it's that struggle of not being the best at any of it. Like I'll cosplay, but I'm not the best at that. I'll play Overwatch, but I'm not the best at that. Like I can. It's always that struggle with everything, but I feel like.
How do you? Well, hang on. Wait a minute. Hang on. I'm sorry to I'm so sorry to cut you off, but I can't let it slide that you said you're not the best at cosplaying, because your cosplays are fucking really good. And remember, like this is no bullshit, because you cosplayed the character from Apex, and I literally didn't know it was you until later. And I was like, oh shit. Like, remember, I was like, wait, that is Faria, what the fuck? So, I guess, like, my question at that point is, like, how do you even measure being the best at cosplaying, right? Like, I feel like as long as, you know, it's something that you're proud of, and, like, something that you actually think that was, like, your best effort, that's always, like, the best you can do. And, you know, it's one of those things that, like, yeah, every one of them isn't gonna be perfect, and I've heard this from, like, I know, like, creators who work in different spaces, and sometimes there's a project you work really fucking hard on. You work really hard on, and it does awful, and there's a project you put borderline no effort into, and it pops the fuck off, and that can suck balls. Like, that is so bad. Like, I hate that.
Me off so much.
Me too. I can't tell you how many low effort content pieces I've put out before, and they just bang, and I'm like, what, dude, what in the world is this, right? Like, one good example is I reacted to the trailer for, like, Shroud's game Spectre Divide on a whim. And I was just like, oh my god, yeah, game looks cool. Like, you know, it looks great. Thing got like 3 million views, went viral. I got invited to come play test it privately before the game released. And they were like, oh yeah, like your video popped off, and like it's actually like the most viewed piece of content from our game, like anywhere. And that was like it was like Shroud's game, right? Like at the time. And so it was like, it opened doors. It opened doors for like this very low piece of content. And like all I did was just react. That's it, you know? But then I'll have some super high piece of content. Like my Until Dawn playthrough that Cuber edited was 9.5 hours. I got like 40K views, which 40K is not bad, but it died at like 40K. Like it just doesn't move now, you know? And it's like, that was such a good video, you know?
That's so frustrating, man. The thing with like oh my god, I
one was not a
appreciate
Cuber
the
edit.
compliment. I really do. I accept it. It's just like there are levels, you know? Like if that was a level 10, there's like a level 14 where have you seen those Baldur's Gate cosplays that look like screenshots from the fucking game, and they do their makeup and like prosthetics so well that they look just like fucking Shadowheart or Lae'zel or whoever it is. And it breaks my brain, and it's like I have simultaneously this desire to both do everything and also do it to like the best possible standard, but like these two are in constant conflict with each other because there's only so much time and there's only so much you can do, and so that brushing up against the limitation of what you can do with the time that you've got and what you know in your head is possible in like the realm of human achievement is always the struggle for me. And yeah, no, I feel it constantly. And back to what you were saying about the really high effort stuff getting not enough traction or getting just less success than something that you completely just like a pile of shit you threw at the wall.
Yep.
It's so demoralizing, man.
Yeah, I feel you so much.
And in a way, you almost have to do more of the low effort shit and like those cheap lottery tickets, so you have the ability and like the affordance to be able to do like the long form masterpieces, right?
Yep. See, you've almost kind of uncovered my whole why I'm doing multiple channels, because like, you know, Overwatch in some ways, like even though I do genuinely like, I'm not gonna lie, the last like week of like the last few days of Orisa meta, not having a great time. But up until then, I was actually having a great time. But there is on some levels some golden handcuffs, you know, where it's like it is so great, and like, you know, at the same time, like, you know, I'm not gonna pretend and not like, you know, like live in fantasy land. Like I'm sitting at the top, right? Like there's Like, yeah, I'm not like you could say like stream could be bigger, right? Like I would say like the biggest Overwatch streamer is probably Super, but like he's also outside the Overwatch space at this point. He's like in like LSF2 and like he's like got different groups. So like, you know what I mean? Like he's not totally just Overwatch circle at this point. But it's like during drops, I'm always at the top, or TikToks are always going crazy. And people always want to hear my opinion on patch notes or like any big news that's happening or anything like that. Like it always happens, right? Like I've come to realize that and accept that. But at the same time though, with that comes what I was talking about earlier, where it's like it's hard to do kind of anything else, and also it's a little bit of golden handcuffs, right? Where it's like you have something that's really, really good. You're not. I don't want to throw it away, even because like there's gonna be times where I'm not enjoying it, right? Like there might be a day where I'm not having a good time, or a week where I'm not having a good time. It's not like, oh, just throw it all away. But like I want to be able to do other shit too, and then come back to it. So some days though, I might be signing in and, you know, playing a few games or doing, you know, like video or farming content is what I call it, like, you know, spectating or whatever, because that shit pays the bills and allows me to do other shit later on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I feel you.
It's a thing that allows you the freedom on everything else, right?
Also, if I'm allowed a little recommendation, I think you're pretty talented at a lot of different things, and I know that like finding out what to stream and stuff like that might be a little bit tough, but on like the YouTube side of things, have you ever considered like doing like a series of like I spent X amount of time, like some people do 7 days, some people do 30 days, whatever, like learning a game or learning whatever thing your interest is at the time, and kind of like turning it into like a little journey where it's like you went from being really bad at it or not very good at it, and it's like, you know, maybe I'm not the best, but this is all the progress I made, you know?
Yeah, that's
I think
exactly
people love those.
That's what I'm doing right now. It's like trying to figure out, okay, challenges. Because have you ever heard of a channel called Michelle Kare, I think her YouTube is?
I have not.
It's Challenge Accepted. She basically just like does these challenges where like, oh, I trained like an Olympic gymnast for 7 days. Here's what happened. Or like, oh yeah, I walked like 30,000 steps for a week or something fucking crazy. And it's always these like different challenges that take her through martial arts, or like different fitness challenges, different like career occupational challenges, and I want to do something in that vein, I think. And in the meantime, just like stream, because man, like we have it so good. we truly do.
Yeah.
And God, like we have the coolest job, and I'm so grateful we get to do this shit. But it's that stage. Oh, you're trying to get the angle.
I had one and I didn't get a headshot. Oh, I'm so mad.
No, it would have been so cool. It's okay.
I did one earlier to somebody and called me cringe. It was funny.
Wait, what was I saying? I forgot.
You were talking about that person's channel, like 7 days doing martial arts or training like an Olympic gymnast, or...
Yeah, I was saying... Right, I remember now. It's like when we have a bit of job security, it's like we start looking towards fulfillment, right? And trying to chase that. And I think... I don't know. Do you feel like creating content for Overwatch is fulfilling in all the ways you need it to be for you?
I mean, I have a lot of things that are big question marks these days with stuff like that. I don't know if I don't know. It's more of, I don't even know if I would say fulfilling is like the word. I think it's more of just like, I hold myself to a really high standard, and I know I'm not pushing myself anymore. And it's like, I'm a very extremely goal-oriented person, and so without goals, I kind of just like get lazy, right? Where it's like, you know, there's a phrase of like, you know, sometimes to get a task done the most efficient way, you hire the laziest person because they will find the most like easy way to do it. That's me in a lot of ways, where it's like, unless I have to do something, I ain't doing it. Like 99% of the time. But it's like
so relatable.
Motivatedly lazy, where it's like I will go bursts of doing something super, super hard because it's like it is better to do that and then have like extended periods of rest and doing like whatever I choose to do. Like it's more freedom as opposed to say, you know, sustained like smaller amounts of effort. And so with like content stuff, it's like I've gotten super, 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 super comfortable doing the whole cycle.
Careful.
Wait, did he not? Wait, did our signal just not?
Over here.
He's in there. He's in the corner. He's right here.
Oh. Oh my God! He's won!
Wait. I actually don't think our Sig saw him. He went in that room, looked around, and just left. That's funny. But yeah, it's just like, it's like one of those, am I doing everything I can do? And it's like, at the end of the day, I want to be able to say, did I do it all? You know? Did I give my best effort?
Oh man, yeah. And sometimes it's easy to like make excuses of like, right now it's a little uncertain, or like we're trying this new thing, so it's okay, but like no, because when you're not giving it your all, or rather when you're not uncomfortable, like you know it deep down, and something feels wrong about that. I don't know if you're the same, but like you always need to be a little bit on your toes to align with the work you're doing, right?
Oh yeah. If I'm not, then I know that like I've gotten into too much of a routine.
No, that makes total sense.
And it's like, not that routine is bad, it's just like when you get into a routine, there has to be something you're either working towards or like something to look forward to. I don't have any of those things at the moment, right? It's kind of just a waiting game.
Victory.
Because you said you wanted to have a goal of getting your own place, right? And then being able to cool it a little bit after that.
Yeah, which is, I mean, I'm still there, but like, even then that, it's like, I'm still waiting, right? It's still kind of like waiting for whenever thing to come up. It's like, I have no power in that. I'm just kind of stuck waiting until whenever it happens. But then, also with like, I don't know, being the comfortable part after, that's like the exploring other stuff, you know? That's like making new goals, because then at that point I would have accomplished my goal of, all right, I'm back.
To devastate.
Good leadership makes
one
all the
sec.
difference.
Doc's done things in 4 months.
Up and away.
After the trigger pull lies a blissful eternity. Until the shot connects.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Enemy over here. Zut.
Just got an offer letter for a new job after looking for one for 2 months of applying to multiple jobs and either not getting the job or just
When
not
you said that
hearing
line
back at
about
all.
giving like the most complicated task to the most lazy person.
Thanks for congrats or good luck.
Have I ever told you how I min-maxed at school?
Oh, you got it. Oh, you did get it. Okay, congrats, dude. Yo, I'm happy for you. Sorry, one more time. I just had TTS going at the exact same time, and I was trying to understand that my brain just almost fried for a sec.
You're good. You're good. When you were saying that, you know, you gotta give the most complicated task to the laziest person, I'm like, fuck, I feel that. Because, oh my god, did I ever tell you the way that I used to min-max school?
No. At least I don't think so.
Oh. Okay. So, I had a method at school, and it was a method that allowed me to get through courses that gave me like an 8-hour homework workload pretty much daily. it let me basically never have to do homework at home. And my method was every single class, I would record the board and like everything the teacher was
Oh,
saying.
you did mention this to me. Yeah.
I might have, yeah. And I would record that, and during the class, I would work on the other class's homework. And so I would just completely tune out whatever the fuck was going on in class. And then, next class, if I needed to, I could watch back the recording of the previous class, but on like 3x the speed. And because I have like the recording, right? The stuff on the board and whatever gets projected up, it's like, it's all there as a record. And so I just was able to excel and get like 90s in every single class. My teachers hated me because it always looked like I wasn't paying attention. But
That's awesome.
I would always do all the tests, so it would be okay.
Hey, if it works, it works. See, I think I feel like maybe I said this last time too. Is like, I would do stuff like that with like photos on my iPad or whatever, and it's like, yeah, but I never would go back and look at it later. Like I was just doing it just for show. Like I pay more attention to like what they were saying or whatever, and I would still do really well in tests, but I would just do terrible because I wouldn't do homework or anything like that. So
oh my god.
In the end, like it wouldn't end up mattering.
Finally, a worthy opponent.
Knock them off the point. Heat check confirmed.
You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. There's no way. The second I shot, nanoed.
Objective lost. Stop the payload.
Back in action.
Everyone push that payload back.
What would you do if you had an extra 12 hours in your day?
Like for myself. Also, I'm getting absolutely spawn killed right now. I would waste it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I would waste the absolute fuck out of it. I would ruin it for sure.
I mean, you work so hard for the other hours, so it makes sense.
I mean, growing streaming is a lot of just like other platform stuff like TikToks and Shorts and YouTube and stuff like that. Dude. There's literally a Sigma in our spawn running at me in a straight line.
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
Finally, a worthy opponent.
Why do I have a feeling we're gonna get a backfill tank player, and they're literally gonna be better than that guy? And we're gonna win. Watch. The prophecy has been foretold, and I'm rocked.
Ooh, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What do you think is something that they should really teach in schools, but they don't?
It's getting no one from my sight.
Something that should be taught in school and isn't. Media literacy.
Oh, that's huge.
Sniper.
Like, so many people don't know how to read, like, between the lines on things, or to question things at all. Basically, they'll just either take it at face value, or basically either take it at face value, or they'll think that it's not real, or they'll think it's like there's something else at play, like there's some malicious thing at play, if they just don't like what it is. And so like the way you can kind of read between the lines in a lot of ways is context and like also like where is it coming from? Because like sometimes people just don't look into like okay, like let's say a random tweet, right? Like there's a random tweet with some fun fact on it of like, you know, oh, XY thing, Z thing has happened, right? And it's like, that could be true. Like it, you know, it sounds like it could be true. What other stuff does this person post? And it's like, what if they post other stuff like it? And it's like something that you can verify as like, oh yeah, I know that that happened. This person posted about it. That is definitely a true statement. I've seen that happen. Maybe there's a little bit more validity to this. Never mind like actually Googling shit or actually looking shit up. Like just literally just checking like what kind of source is this information coming from. And so like for example, let's say even like one of those like viral clip channels that just like constantly tries to hardcore farm clips. It's like, well, that channel is obviously very clearly just trying to make as much money as possible and is probably not trying to tell you the full story. It's probably, or the correct story. It's probably just trying to get as much interaction on it as possible, which isn't even a bad thing. It's just like, maybe don't take what the video or what the caption of what it says seriously. Maybe just take the video at face value, you know, like because the video happened, like that is real, but like maybe context being put behind the video isn't real, isn't legit. That's like to me media literacy and like being able to understand like on a basic level where something's coming from. I'm not even talking like, you know, looking something up or using Google Scholar or anything like that. I'm just talking actual basic level, like, am I looking at bullshit or am I looking at something that could potentially be real, you know? And it is scary how many people cannot do that.
Fuck, yeah, you're right.
Chat, just as the prophecy foretold, raging tank player who's kind of fucking terrible, only cares about numbers, gets mad, says GG, leaves game. Backfill tank player actually knows how to play game. All of a sudden, we're about to hold for 4.5 minutes, chat. I told you,
one that I would
never ever dealt the prophecy. They might push an OT though, because they have ults, but...
suggested of not just media literacy, but emotional literacy. Because holy fuck.
Oh,
There's so many people out there who don't have the slightest idea that they're actually like the most emotional motherfuckers. And like, you know, the kind that like says snowflake unironically and actually genuinely means it in full chat. But then they don't realize that they're the ones that are so like insulted or so like sensitive about something.
Yeah, they had a lot of ults.
Like,
but if we could touch,
like, I am
if we had a touch,
as a
see, an OT.
sex worker who works in porn like 8 hours a day. Like I am so desensitized to everything, but it's because of just, oh my god, like I've had what, like seven years in therapy now, and it teaches you a fucking lot about yourself and about not just how you feel, but like how you respond in turn. And I feel like so many people are just not given that chance to understand their own mind.
Also, sometimes it's like parents. Like, people don't understand, like, their parents have probably instilled something in them. But, like, your parents aren't always, like, you know, they don't always know what they're talking about.
Yeah, and the fact that like none of this shit gets talked about in school, and it's always something you have to supplement in your adulthood later on, and like reparent yourself and learn how to talk to people and like go through conflict. Like fuck, how is it that we have to do 12 years of mathematics and learn advanced calculus, but we never touch on conflict resolution?
Conflict resolution. Oh, jeez. I feel like the conflict resolution I learned in high school was just don't get caught.
Just don't get caught. I feel like so many people these days, they avoid conflict because the assumption is that it's gonna go terribly, and so you don't even give people chances to ameliorate things or to work through conflict together and build a shared reality, and instead you just like ghost them, and that's just the way things are.
Oh, true. Actually, you're right. Yeah, true.
Like, so much shit goes unsaid, and for me, like, if I ever have problems with somebody, or if someone does something and it's just not fucking okay, I'll usually try to resolve that shit in private, but I feel like that's rare.
Oh, it is super rare. Nobody ever wants to. And it's like, I don't know, a lot of times it's almost like it's either conflict like avoidant, like they don't want to like talk about it and they want to just like pretend it didn't happen and just like run and like, you know, like ghost, or the opposite end of the spectrum is like you have to win.
Yeah, oh my god.
Which is honestly equally as annoying.
Honor is all I have left.
Why not fire arrows that explode?
With enough skill and precision, explosives are unnecessary.
There's this line that lives in my brain rent-free, but it's such a good line. It's a line that says, the best relationships are not the ones that are devoid of conflict, but it's the ones where you're moving through conflict together to build a shared reality. And I'm like, oh my god, that's so fucking strong. And it makes sense when you think about it, because fuck, like so many friendships, so many romantic relationships, even like familiar relationships degrade and erode over time because, well, you start thinking, oh, this person does this because they just don't care, or like, oh, they're doing it to be cold and
they don't
callous,
like me or whatever. Yeah.
Ah, exactly. But like in their mind, the reality is completely different. But because it's never vocalized, like that can never be challenged or, you know, changed.
Oof. Yeah, true. 100%.
Deliver out, Prometheus.
I will do better.
Barricade on the move. Enemy here.
I actually used to be probably a little bit too confrontational, but I've toned it quite a back toned it back quite a bit over the last few years.
What has helped you do that the most?
Kind of just not assuming the worst, even if it ends up being true. It's kind of like, you know, giving a little bit of benefit of the doubt on something. It's sometimes like, you know, sometimes it can end up being like the give an inch, take a mile type of deal, but also sometimes it can be like a level of understanding where it's like, well, you know, if you're giving me the benefit of the doubt on that, you're probably not just trying to like railroad me through and, you know, like you're not trying to win. Like you're trying to come to somewhat of an understanding, even if like you can kind of tell like they don't believe you or you don't believe them or whatever. It's like, well, they're doing their best to operate under that assumption being true, to see if like you can come to an understanding somewhat.
Yeah, I like that.
Because I mean, I grew up always assuming worst, right? Because like I grew up in a pretty tough way, and it was kind of like the way you survive, right? Like you don't trust somebody you don't know. You don't trust anyone like that you suspect. Like you trust your instincts in a lot of ways. So like you kind of have to fight against it, and like sometimes it hurts or it hits you, right? Like there's been times where I've trusted people that I shouldn't, and it's absolutely bit me in the ass. But it's like, am I gonna let that bite me in the ass moment keep me from potentially helping someone else in the future, right?
Was it kind of that thing of like, someone looks at you wrong and it's like, you got a problem?
I cannot give up.
I wouldn't say that. I'd say more of like if they were looking at you wrong, like it's kind of like you're watching them. It's like you keep an eye on them type of thing. Because it's like, you know, 90% of the time you're like, and I mean like this is like obviously in person, not like actually like, you know, in a personal conversation. It's like you walk with a purpose, you look like you got somewhere to be, and like you're not there to dilly-dally, and you've got a goal. Most people will leave you alone. If someone's not leaving you alone and you're doing that, now you are under the assumption that they want trouble, they want a problem, right?
Yeah.
But if you're talking about like with just like how people are or how people act, it's like you know, keeping the cards a little close to the chest, not saying anything that you don't have to say, not telling like, you know, if you got anything going on for the day, not saying like, oh yeah, I'm actually not feeling that great today because of like X, Y reason. It's always like, good, how are you? It's always like everything's fine, like there's never anything wrong. It's like, you kind of
keep on the mask, right?
Yeah, you kind of always, there is no weakness, show no cracks in the armor, type of thing.
Shit. Because like who knows if like a friendly territory is gonna turn into a fucking battlefield, right? Like who knows?
Yeah.
Come, robot.
I mean, I've had that happen. Oh shit.
For me, it was almost the opposite. Of like, I grew up with really angry parents, and my mother would like throw actual tantrums, and so I told myself, no matter what the fuck happens, I will not be like her. And so, even though I was a really angry kid, and even my therapist wrote me down as someone who was so driven by her anger. Oh, we're so fucked. Yeah, like I was penned down as someone who was so driven by anger, but like I was so determined to never let that show and never let it affect other people. But I'm coming out of that. I'm realizing that that anger is fucking potent, man. And a lot of times it's deserved. Like if it's pointed towards the right people, people who wrong you, people who take advantage, it's like fuck you.
That should do it. A lot of ways too, though, it can also be almost like debilitating. Because like even if it's deserved, it's like one of those things that like, ah shit, I'm dead. Where it's like, it kind of puts you in a bad mood for the whole day, you know, or for the whole week, and it's like, it wasn't even your fault. But now it's affecting you beyond like whatever interaction it's had. That, I'm not saying it is your fault at that point, but it's like you're kind of letting it keep growing and kind of letting it fester when it's like the better thing to do is just to kind of like somehow get past it.
Yeah, yeah. It's like you're holding on to the hot coals, right?
Yeah. I'm like I try a lot of times nowadays is like forgive but never forget, you know?
Present and remember.
Because I have friends still to this day who have not changed and they still act the same way that I used to in a lot of ways. And they're just always pissed and they're just kind of not great to be around ever for long periods of time. So, but it's also like causes problems. Like they cause like random problems that don't need to be problems. Or it's like,
yeah.
They just kind of, they're not good at finding common ground or common understanding. They just like, nah, this person's shit for X, Y, Z reasons. And it's like that can be tough because like, you know, especially like, what if your friends are friends? Like, you're friends with both of them, right? And it's like, they don't like the other one because of whatever reason. And it's like, well, hang on, like, I understand why you don't like them, but like, it's not like that serious. Like, your reason's not even that great, right? It's like, not that crazy. And it kind of like can put you in an awkward spot because like, they're not able or even willing to kind of like tolerate even like a middle ground, or like tolerate the possibility that they could be wrong with like their assumption. It's like, nah,
Yeah,
I am right. It's like, well, you're kind of not, but I can't tell you that because you're gonna go, what the fuck? You're choosing them over me? And it's like, no, I'm not. I'm just saying, like, you know, like you're kind of taking this a little too far for no reason, you know?
Do you feel like you change a lot year by year? I mean, it sounds like you have.
I wouldn't say year
Quite a
by
lot.
year.
By year.
Well, I don't know if I want to say year by year. It's definitely accelerated as a streamer, though. I would say there's definitely accelerated
I feel like
growth.
it's done that for me too. It's wild, right?
It's because you're constantly under scrutiny. You see flaws that you maybe
yeah.
never saw before. Because like, there might be a flaw that's literally never been mentioned to you before, but all of a sudden, if you increase the amount of people that you interact with from tens to hundreds to thousands to tens of thousands, there might be a blind spot you never even considered. You know, and it might be something you're not even ready to face yet, but like with time, you'll be able to.
That's true, yeah. Because it just amplifies everything, right? That's what power or like attention does.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. There's definitely goods and there's. I don't know if I would say there's goods and there's bads with it. It's just like, I mean, that's obvious. It's more. It's you can choose not to is the thing. Like you can choose to fight against it and be like, nah, fuck all of them. They're all wrong. They're all stupid. Or you can choose to be like, okay, how do I make this better?